Tonight, on Be Something Wonderful, how to remove doubt by assuming and knowing it is done the Neville Goddard way. I am your host, Tom Karen, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. I got an email from a subscriber this morning that said, Tom, how do I know I'm doing the imaginal act correctly? I'm even uncertain whether I'm manifesting correctly. I haven't seen results, and and I get focused on the 3D world, and I'm seeing contrary or opposite of my desire. And so I'm really starting to doubt it, whether it's done. And I don't even know how I'm supposed to feel. And so can you unpack that? Well, guys, we're going to unpack this tonight and more. Here's what I want to say about manifesting your desire, about the techniques of Neville Goddard, or really any of the spiritual teachers. The whole premise of prayer is to pray as if you are already that person that you want to be, or pray as if your prayer is already answered. Like we talked about yesterday in the teachings of Greg Braden in the Lost Gospel of Thomas. You're going to feel like you're surrounded by the answer. You're enveloped by the desire, by the feeling that it's already yours. This is the premise in all of it. It's in the implication, right? So the imaginal act, the most important thing, the implication of the imaginal act is that it's already done, that it's already yours. And so you can do that by assuming that it's already yours, by declaring that it's done, and then walking in that conviction, right? Knowing and feeling that it's already yours. That's what we're getting at. That's all it ever is, right? And Greg Braden talks about that healing, right? Where they saw the tumor, but then they said, well, that's one quantum possibility in the field of infinite possibilities. And now we're going to call forth another possibility, right? And they put all their attention on that new wish, on that new desire, on that possibility of this woman completely healed, where there was no tumor. This is what we're talking about. This is the power we're talking about. Let's unpack this a little bit more. This is what Neville says. When you know what you want, assume you have it. Believe your assumption is true. Look at your world mentally and see your fulfilled desire. I love this because it's so simple. We're not even talking about the imaginal act here. He's saying when you know what you want, assume you have it. Make the assumption it's done. Believe your assumption is true. Look at your world now mentally and see your fulfilled desire. Now you're seeing through the eyes of Source. You're seeing through the eyes of God. To assume it is to have it. Or as Neville says, right, the desire state is to have it. Well, to assume it is to have it. It's done. Creation's finished, right? Neville, what I like about this, Neville goes, when you know what you want, assume you have it. He moves immediately from wanting to the assumption that it's yours. So you're not staying in that wanting stage, right? When we're in that, when we start, here's the thing, when you're analyzing your manifestations, when you're analyzing your imaginal act, when you're analyzing whether you're doing it right or whether you're feeling it correctly or whether it's done, you're creating a reality or a state of tweaking your manifestations, of not doing it, of not knowing whether you're doing it right. Hear this. You're creating a life experience of being in that uncertainty whether you're doing your imaginal act right. You're making an assumption that you don't know if you're doing it right. So those assumptions must be created in reality. So you create a continual reality of questioning your manifestation process. Hear that. That's what we're talking about. So don't even analyze it. Just be with it. Assume it's already yours and walk in that conviction. Then the 3D world must yield to it. It must. God doesn't mess and tweak with his imaginal acts. God assumes it and then becomes it immediately. Declares it and becomes it immediately. Right? God announces that God is that desire, and then God becomes that desire immediately. That's you. You're God. That's what we're talking about here, right? And so here's what Ernest Holmes says. We must learn to think in the absolute. This is what Ernest Holmes is saying. Think in the absolute. Think like God, right? There's no question. There's no doubt. There's no possibility of non-fulfillment. It is done when you make the assumption, right? We must learn to think independently of any given condition or experienced effect. This is what Ernest Holmes is saying, right? Independently. The new thoughts and assumptions create new conditions, right? If you're stuck on what is, on what already manifested, then you're going to create from that already manifested past, right? New thoughts, right? Judge not according to appearances, is what Jesus said. Ask without hidden motive, right? In the teachings of the Lost Gospel of Thomas, right? Braden points that out, that in the unedited version of the Bible, the unedited version, it says ask without hidden motive, right? Wow, that's powerful, right? Here's what else Neville says. You must move within and view the world from already being the person you want to be. That's what we're talking about, right? You're now telling a new story. You're now going to match that inner speech. You're going to walk with that, telling that new story that you're already that person. The world must yield to that assumption. The 3D world must yield to that new story. So instead of creating a reality where you don't know whether you're doing your imaginal act right, where you're tweaking things, and you're creating a reality of being in limbo and being uncertainty, create the reality that, yeah, I assumed it, I know it's done, right? That the 3D world must yield to that assumption, right? So Neville talks about this, right? When you're thinking of your desire or you're thinking of the end, you're holding on to the thought. Right? You're holding on to it. You're not dropping the seed here. That's doubt. That implies the possibility of non-fulfillment. Instead, think from your desire. Think from the end. Now you're embodying your desire. Now there's absolute certainty. There's no possibility of non-fulfillment when you're thinking from the end, right? Know it is done. Whether you doubt it or not, know that it's done. You can doubt it, but it's done. It's done when you have the desire. To have a desire, to desire a state is to have it. It's already done when you desired it. It's already done, right? Before they call, I will answer, right? This is what the scripture was saying as well, right? Your desire is already created in that dimensionally larger reality. So whether you doubted it or not, it's there. You can't stop that. Right? It's already there. Now, when it manifests in 3D reality, is you lining up with that invisible reality, right? You lining up to it. So in that knowing then, in the knowing that you can, when you assume it, when you have it, it's done. In that knowing, fear and doubt must lose its power, right? Fear and doubt does not have a place in that light, in that conviction, in that assumption that it's done. Once you do that, it's impossible to doubt. It's impossible to doubt and stand in the conviction that it's done. You can't do both, right? So resist nothing. Let the doubt and fear pass, and then stand in that assumption once again that it's done, that it's yours, that it's already a reality in a dimensionally larger reality. That's what we're talking about tonight, right? And so the negative conditions, the imagined negative conditions, right, of doubt and fear dissolve immediately in the knowing and assumption that it's done. Hear this. This is big. So let the doubt come up. Let the fear come up. It's going to dissolve as you stand in the knowing, in the assumption that it's done. As you occupy your state of wish fulfilled, that desire state, and you see the world from it, doubt and desire cannot last. They cannot stand as you stand in that assumption. Then the 3D world must yield to your assumption. It must yield to that new state, right? Your imaginal act, your assumption, your claim, your desire, all of it is an immediate objective fact in that dimensionally larger reality. Hear this, it's created. It's created. It's invisible, but it's real. So even if you're doubting it, it's already created, it's real. But hear this, even when you start doubting it, when you start feeling it, go back to your assumption. Go back to declaring it. Right? Go back to declaring that it is done, that it is yours. Make that assumption, right? Announce it like God would announce it. And then it's done, right? By giving So by giving your complete attention to any one idea, this is Ernest Holmes again, by giving our complete attention to any one idea, we automatically embody it. We attract to ourselves the objective likeness of this embodiment. The thought becomes a thing. Ernest Holmes wrote this, right? Right in line with what we're talking about. Giving your complete attention to any one idea, putting your attention on your desire, right? You automatically embody it. Embodying that dimensionally larger reality, right? In that invisible world that's embodied. Then you attract it to yourself, the objective likeness of this embodiment. Thought becomes a thing. Wow, that's powerful. So Jesus talks about the parable of the lamp. And I want to talk about this. It's a short, powerful parable that really hits this point home. Let's unpack it a little bit. So no one, after lighting a lamp, covers it over with a container or puts it under a bed, right? Put a lamp under a bed. But he puts it on a lampstand so that those who come in may see the light. Right? So what are we talking about here? We're talking about that's your imaginal act, that's your assumption, that's the light within you, right? That's that creative power within you. And so don't cover it up with doubt and fear and disbelief. It's already created. You've already made the assumption. You can't even cover it up if you could. Once that light's on, it's on. You can put it under a bed. You can probably put a container over it, but it's a light and it's on. Right? Instead, put it on a light stand so that those who come in may see the light. In other words, so it can manifest in 3D reality. So it can come to full manifestation in the 3D world. That's big, right? And then Jesus says, so take care how you listen. For whoever has, to him more shall be given. And whoever does not have, even what he thinks he has, shall be taken away from him. We've heard this before in Scripture. We've talked about this, but this is the idea that when you know that power, that Christ, that power and wisdom of God's within you, that imagination is God, it is that unconditional awareness and that power is within you. When you start calling on that, when you start decreeing that, when you start calling your desires forth, whoever has, to him more shall be given, even more shall be given. But whoever does not have, whoever does not know of that power, whoever does not call that power forth, whoever doubts that power, right, even what he thinks he has shall be taken away from him. That's what we're talking about. This is the power, right? This really is removing doubt by assuming and knowing it's done the Neville Goddard way. I am your host, Tom Caron, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, like and share our videos. That's how we get our message out. Hit us up on Facebook at Be Something Wonderful, on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Caron, our website at tomcaron.com or BeSomethingWonderful.com, or write me anytime at info@BeSomethingWonderful.com. I would love to hear from you. Till next time, this is Tom with great love. See you soon.